Welcome back to The Explainer. So, today we're doing something a little different. We are turning the entire global economy into a high-stakes investigation. Just imagine a moody, dimly lit room, a single spotlight, and a suspect sitting right there on the table. But our suspect isn't a person at all. No, it's just a simple, spinning €1 coin. We're going to follow this unlikely little guide to uncover the massive, hidden forces that literally shape our entire world.
As our cheeky little metallic friend puts it, I'm €1. I cross borders for breakfast. And honestly, that's not even an exaggeration. Global trade isn't just standard background noise anymore. It has absolutely exploded. We often just accept global trade as how the world works, but the sheer scale of it today is a gripping plot twist all on its own.
Think about the massive leap we've seen. Back in 1950, global trade was just 5.5% of the world's GDP. Fast forward to 2005, and bam, it skyrocketed to 20.5%. That is a staggering amount of wealth just flying around the globe. And with all this money and material constantly on the move, we really have to ask, who exactly controls the doors? Well, it turns out every border essentially has two main checkpoints, the goods gate and the money gate. Section 1. The world gets close. Economic integration. Let's get right into it. You see, countries didn't just casually connect over the last few decades. They deeply, almost irreversibly integrated. Because more stuff, more money, and more people are flowing across borders than ever before, we're seeing some truly fascinating things happen. Have you ever noticed how the exact same pair of sneakers costs almost the exact same amount whether you're buying them in Paris, Tokyo, or New York? That right there, that convergence of prices, is what true global integration actually looks like in your everyday life. Now, of course, economists have a fancy mathematical way of measuring this. They call it openness, which is defined as exports plus imports divided by GDP. But hey, we're not getting bogged down in spreadsheets today. Instead, we're going to follow our euro coin to see how this openness actually functions on the ground, right at the border. Which brings us to Section 2. Crossing the border gates, the bouncer and the velvet rope. Imagine waiting at the door of this highly exclusive nightclub called Imports. And there's this massive, intimidating bouncer right at the front demanding a cover charge. That cover charge, that's exactly what a tariff is. It's a tax on imports. You can totally still enter the country, but you're going to pay more for the privilege. Now, this naturally hurts everyday consumers like us because the final price tag goes way up. But the local producers? Oh, they're smiling. They don't have to pay that bouncer, which gives them a massive competitive edge on their home turf. But what if the club operates a little differently? Think about contrasting that heavy-handed bouncer with a quota. A quota actually isn't a tax at all. It acts way more like a VIP velvet rope. The gatekeeper isn't asking for your cash. They're just looking at a counter ticking down to zero and telling the goods, sorry, we're at capacity. That's enough for today. And this brilliantly illustrates the big difference between the two main tools countries use to control their borders. Tariffs simply mean you pay more. Quotas, on the other hand, mean flat out, not today. Once that limit is reached, the door just shuts, no matter how much money you're willing to throw at it. It's a completely undeniable line in the sand. But the goods gate isn't always so obvious. Sometimes the barriers are literally invisible. Just imagine a haunted hallway of endless rules, strict health standards, and totally bizarre bureaucratic procedures. Your goods might technically be allowed through the door, but then they get completely stalled in this ridiculous maze of paperwork. It's actually a super clever way for countries to slow down imports without officially throwing up a bouncer or a velvet rope. Moving on to Section 3, the global scoreboard, balance of payments. Okay, let's crack open the ledger. First, we've got the current account, which tracks the actual physical goods and services moving across borders. Then, the financial account, which shows the investments and the money moving in and out to actually pay for those goods. Finally, the capital account covers special non-market transfers. And the golden rule of this giant digital scoreboard? Goods move, money follows, and the numbers never, ever forget. Every single transaction leaves a fingerprint. Now for Section 4, tricksters and wildfires, currency valuation and contagion. So we're leaving the goods gate behind and approaching the money gate. And this is where we meet the absolute shape-shifting trickster of the global economy, the exchange rate. It's basically just the price of money itself. Depending on whether a currency appreciates or depreciates, the exact same product made by the exact same workers can suddenly turn a massive profit or become a total loss. And it's dictated almost entirely by the mood of the markets. Crazy, right?
And that brings us right into the danger zone. Step 1. Bad policies happen, or maybe foreign money just rushes in way too fast. Step 2. Panic hits and all that money flees incredibly rapidly. Step 3. A contagious financial crisis erupts, just burning through banks and currencies. This perfectly illustrates the dangerous trade-off of global integration. While it definitely makes economic growth so much faster, it also turns tiny, isolated sparks into these massive, contagious financial wildfires that can literally burn across the globe in a matter of days.
Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, Contract with the Future, Sustainable Development.
We've spent a lot of time talking about goods and money moving across physical space, but honestly, the global economy is fundamentally about moving through time. So our cheeky coin's final task is signing a contract with its future self. The terms of that contract? Sustainable development, which basically means meeting today's needs without stealing from tomorrow. Our coin poses a pretty brilliant dilemma here. Can we actually grow without burning the house down? This right here is the core conflict of modern economics. Think about it. What good is crossing borders, beating the bouncers, and making a huge profit if the very foundation we're building on is completely destroyed in the process? The real goal has to be growth that actually respects the limits of our planet. For centuries, people invented all sorts of old trade theories to try and explain this stuff. Theories like, you gotta export more, or you must produce cheaper, or you have to trade smarter. But as we've seen through the journey of our little euro coin today, those old rules just don't tell the whole story anymore. You now understand the real, high-stakes thriller structure of the modern global economy. So, let's quickly summarize the core framework we've uncovered today. Step 1 is the goods gate, guarded by tariffs, quotas, and those pesky, invisible bureaucratic mazes. Step 2 is the money gate, ruled by shape-shifting exchange rates and the constant risk of contagious financial wildfires. And finally, Step 3 is the future, quietly watching both of those gates, keeping score to ensure we aren't secretly stealing from tomorrow. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative question as we close this case file. Who really pays for protection? When a country puts up a tariff or a quota to block out the rest of the world, who is actually footing the bill? Well, I'll leave you with a little spoiler for our next explainer. It certainly isn't the bouncer at the door. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll catch you next time.